tell me
So
your name and then kind of what you're doing in the construction industry.
You want me to dive right into it?
you can just dive
Get
right into
into
it,
it.
Joe. Give us a
Like,
little give us a little
what's your
Beautiful.
background.
role?
Sure. How are y'all doing? My name is Joe Kelly. I hate the bios, but real quick, background was a superintendent for large GC, doing mostly like high-rise work. Then I became a building inspector in the city of Boston. That kind of got me into the code side of things. Went to this trade association, the Association of General Contractors, handled all their kind of code related items, and then went out on my own. And now I do building zoning, fire code consulting, and education for construction companies. I do a lot of, maybe where Bobby and I originally crossed paths was probably the content around NFPA 241, which is construction fire safety. Do a lot of that. A few of the guys that, follow my content was like, hey, you should check out this guy over here. One of them, I think he's out from your way, Dan Creed. He's a
Oh yeah,
Leominster Leominster Call firefighter, but also works for Walsh Brothers, a general contractor. I think that's where the
Wow.
overlap was. And then I
very good
started,
friend of mine.
oh, I didn't know it. And then I started watching Bobby's content and, shooting him some messages. And, now I'm here.
And
Wow.
we're
Man,
live on
that's
the show,
awesome.
baby. I'm posting. Everything looks like it's running good. If you're watching us live, you're watching the replay, we always appreciate it. Thank you so much.
What's the GC life like on,
The GC life, like on high rises, you cut out a little bit there.
yeah, when you're running high rise jobs?
It's a lot, man.
Um, it's a lot.
Man,
It is
I
a
just
lot.
imagine that's just like either stressful or just a lot and just kind of, or I mean,
It's how you
it's a
handle
lot
it. I mean,
regardless.
I deal with
But
every type of those kinds. What do you think,
Yeah,
Joe?
um, and being completely honest, like I loved it. It's certainly high. I was, this sounds like I'm like patting myself on the back, but I was good at it. So what it would work is when you'd have a building, it would get divvied up because not one person can run the whole thing. There'd be a general super, and then you'd get areas. So, I would be on jobs, and if you get shit done, they give you more work. So I just kept getting more and more piled on, and then I started getting migraines because I think I was
oh
too
man,
young. I was too young, and I didn't know that everybody's on top of you. Like if this isn't done by Thursday, we're behind schedule. We're gonna fucking lose money. This and that, and you're not old enough to know. Like, listen, the world doesn't end
Yeah.
if it
Oh,
doesn't get done
yeah.
on Thursday. You know.
You take a
But
lot
when
of
you,
pride in making those dates, though, man.
yeah, and
yeah.
you have all these people that you respect and that are doing some pretty amazing things, and you don't want to let them down. And
And the
uh,
subs are ruthless, huh?
subs are ruthless, but I like I. But the thing was, like, I had great relationships with the subs,
Yeah.
and I loved it. And I think, like, if you make a conscious effort as a general contractor to set them up for success, they'll get your back like you wouldn't believe. The amount of times subs have bailed me out, yeah, it's countless, both from like a work perspective and even just like job site um, bullshit,
Yeah. No,
right?
you're spot on with that.
And there was just one job I was on, and the electrician, I don't know why, like this entire company, I think they looked for assholes to hire. And I don't know why. Like it's very rare that I dislike somebody on a job site. And
Right.
I really disliked a couple of these individuals just because they
There's
were just
always,
nasty
yeah, there's
people.
always some that are just, you know,
Yeah, they wanted to fuck you. And like I was like, why do you want to go through life like that? But long story short, so I was doing the steel and concrete on this one high rise, and we were up on like the 14th or 18th floor. And you know how, like, I don't know if you've done it ever, but like all the mechanical trades will sleeve the decks before they pour, right?
yeah.
So we just had like a system, and there was this
Right.
one area where it was a cantilever and all this heavy rod had to go in, and we had a thing where everybody's material would get flown up, it would land at a certain place, we'd put the rod in, then you'd put your sleeves, and then they'd put the rod in the other section. We had it all worked out. floor after floor after floor. Electrician flies all of his stuff up, lands it right where all that heavy rebar is supposed to go.
Oh my
It-
god.
And so, I figured it was an accident, called the electrician, said, hey, can you meet me up on 18 or whatever? Guy was okay. And he comes walking up, and I was like, all right, I'll just make up a name, Billy. I was like, Billy, I was like, I don't know what they were thinking. They put it all on this cantilevered section. Let's do this. Just move it like 10 feet. I talked to the rebar guy. He said he can do this, then you can slide it over, and then we'll do the rest. No, I'm not moving it. And I was like, what? I was like, you put it in the wrong spot. We've been doing this. Everybody's working together. Like I don't know what your problem is. I'm like, just move it.
Right.
I'm
Yeah,
not moving it.
that's a
Right?
speed bump that can just be avoided.
Yeah, like this is just the kind of person he was. So I get into an argument with the guy, and the iron worker Stuart, who I was really close with, happened to be on the floor, and he's watching it. And like I used to like hang out with him after work, and he was a guy that I was still young at the time. He took me under his wing a little bit. And like back then, like if you picked up tools at all on the union job, they would be all over your ass, right? But he would have me out there, be like,
Right.
here, he's like, grab a torch, do this, do that, you know what I mean? And like I was with him, so they'd leave me alone. And so this guy's being just a super dickhead. And he said, you know what, Billy? I was like, this is up to you at this point. You do what you want. I'm done here. I walk down the stairs, go into the field office. Next thing you know, he comes running into the office and he's screaming, what the fuck? This and that. And he's like, look, I was like, what are you talking about? They threw all my shit off the building. So he had all these like, because some of them are recessed lights to go in the slab. There was spools of MC cable. I mean, there was a lot. There was probably 10, 15, 20 grand worth of material. And there was a low roof on the fourth floor that was concrete. And then we were up on like 14 or 18. So they threw it 10 or 14 stories off the side of the building, destroyed it all. But then they had to pay for the pick because they were paying for the picks for the crane. And that's a couple grand too. They had no
Holy
material there.
shit.
They had to expedite everything. And it was
Don't
just
be
like,
an asshole.
don't be an yes, thank you. You just the words out of my mouth. Don't be an asshole.
Don't be an asshole.
So yeah, as much as trades can be difficult, subs can be difficult. Like I loved them. I mean, I was able to learn so much. I feel like I'm talking too much here, but
No,
um,
not at all. What about, so how
so
about like the fire protection subs particularly? They were the superior ones, right? This is like
you know
a,
what I always thought was funny about the sprinkler fitters
yeah, what? Hit us.
was you'll be doing you'll be doing a high rise and there's like 40 electricians, like 25 plumbers, 20 pipe fitters, like all this other stuff.
It's fucking
And then you call on the sprinkler fitter, like, you got to get guys here. Like, oh no, tell me when it's ready. And they'd like roll up in a truck with two guys.
do
And
the
like,
whole
like, all
fucking
right,
thing.
yeah, I'm like, we got a 40-story building here. And they're like, yeah, we're good. You know what I mean? And they roll up and those motherfuckers were just fucking running out with two guys. I was like, I don't know how they did it.
I
But
can't tell you how many jobs I did, just me and little Bobby. Just two of us, man. Like so many jobs.
Hmm.
It's you can keep up. We can keep up.
Wow.
yeah. Or they would wait.
Even on the big job, those numbers are similar. There's 150 electricians at the height, and there was 20 sprinkler fitters at the height.
Yeah. And that was probably a lot.
That's a lot. That's like the biggest crew
That's a lot.
anybody had ever heard of. Anybody that was on that crew was like, wow, there's a lot of us here. Like we had to have different break rooms and shit.
Yeah. And then it would be, you'd always be
Jeez.
pushing them, be like, all right, the grid's in, can you get started? No, it's not all in yet. I'm like, yeah, but you can start on this side. We're not going up there till it's all in. And then,
Because they're gonna do it in a day.
yeah, exactly. So I was like, man, these guys are
Bang
efficient.
it out.
By the
That's
way, I'm calling you from the home of 550, West Roxbury, Massachusetts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
West
I saw the
Roxbury.
sticker behind you right now, and I'm like, oh, I forgot. They're right down
Yep.
the street.
That's where the hall is.
Hmm.
Man, that's cool. West Roxbury. So you're
So-
close.
Oh yeah, yep. Yeah,
When
so
did you go out on your own?
5 years ago, just about like within, I don't know the exact date, but within a week or so.
Oh,
How was
wow.
that? Like
Congratulations.
just
That's
like
awesome.
making that leap.
That's a milestone.
Thank you. Yeah.
That is.
It's always nerve-wracking, but I didn't I wasn't too worried. I think I had been doing things enough and had enough relationships with people, and I had enough people reaching out asking me for stuff before I left.
Mm.
So I knew there was something there, and I was excited about um, trying out like the marketing stuff, inbound marketing, and all the stuff that I found fascinating and was using a little bit, even when I was a building inspector and when I worked at the AGC. I was kind of testing out those concepts, and I could see that they worked, and I was getting some interest. So, I felt comfortable that the work was there, but I did it at, you know, 43 years old or
It
whatever it
always
was.
it always seems risky no matter what, right?
Yeah,
But you're happy you did it.
Right.
Oh
yeah,
yeah, Teague says 30 porta johns. That's about right. So on the hospital jobs, we have temporary
What a poor
bathrooms
show.
in the permanent locations. We had some pretty good bathrooms. I'm not gonna lie. On the big high rise jobs, what do you think, Joe? How'd they do the bathrooms where you were? So Joe, if anyone's joining us, we got 9 viewers now. We didn't really have many viewers when Joe was explaining who he was. Joe, this is Joe. He's out my way in Massachusetts. You can find him on Mass Construction on Instagram, and he's basically the quick version is he's a GC. He was a GC, and now he's out on his own,
yeah. Doing code consulting,
code consulting.
a lot of fire safety stuff, so it overlaps with the sprinkler world with impairment plans and stuff like that. So
Which
all your
those are,
content where I'm watching you turn up heads and
oh yeah, it's ever changing. The
yeah, what the hell
241 and
did
now the two. What had
yes,
just happened with the 241 plan? It's different now. Like uh,
they just adopted a new version of it. But one thing for your folks is it's going to open the door to sprinklers being installed as the site goes on. Potential, not in all cases, but more likely in wood frame construction. And they need to do this thing called like a fire exposure analysis.
Mhm.
And depending on what that fire exposure analysis says, they might need to start installing sprinkler systems as the building goes up, which happened over in South Bay, which is a section of Boston where they had a large wood frame building. And what they did was they ended up putting in a dry system, heated just the room, just the fire pump room, brought in a phone line so they had monitoring, probably just a flow switch being monitored or whatever. And then they would shut it during the day while they were there. At night, they would pressure test it. If it held, they'd turn it on and it would be active at night. And they did that as the building went up. It was
so
it was pretty much
so
a
you're
success.
draining it and adding to it every day. You're essentially draining it
Well, they
and
were keeping it dry.
building it more. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
they're keeping it dry so they didn't have to drain it.
Well, draining the air out and then like
Yeah.
essentially
Oh,
building
yes.
on a little bit more and then refilling it with the air. So
Yep.
that's a major time consumption for me. I'm losing hours. That just sounds like a loss of hours.
Yep. Definitely a
A lot of
cost.
work.
The
A lot of extra work.
A lot of extra work, I should say.
Yeah.
lot of extra work. Like you said, testing it every night before you're livening it up. And then also that was a job that probably would have been, well, that definitely would have been CPVC,
Mm.
but they couldn't pressurize it, so they had to switch it to steel. So there's cost there.
So you make
You know,
double right there, triple right there.
yeah. So there's definitely a cost associated with it, but they got it down to a pretty good system. But I'll tell you this much for the sprinkler fitters listening, that's the way it's going.
That's what I like it. I like the sound of it because it sounds like more work.
Yeah. And I mean, you experience it already, right? Where now you have the temp pressurized standpipes going
That
in during
yeah,
construction,
yeah. So
right?
to do a high rise, I don't know if you'd be able to like do what you're saying on a fast pace, say like a Turner Construction. That's like a big pusher for me. I work for them and they'll it's tough to keep up with those schedules. Never mind try to get shit active at the end of the day and then still keep up. Just put in that temporizer.
Yeah. You're doing steel and concrete. probably not going to need it,
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, you did say wood.
but it's going to be the wood frame.
Hmm.
So we're talking, up to 6 stories, but you start getting real big footprints on those. Um,
Really, on wood frames.
Yeah.
I
yeah,
didn't think they were doing that on large structures.
They have. So we were a part of a couple of them, and what they do is they do concrete and steel for maybe a floor or two, and then that gives them, I don't know, gives them way much more room to grow. They'll do as
yeah,
much wood as they can. Say they want 10 stories, they're gonna go up as much as they can with steel and concrete, and then they'll do wood.
It's just gonna be less of a substantial building, in my opinion. I mean,
Yeah. I want an
those
all steel
materials are not
building.
as strong.
yeah. I mean, I walk around them and I wouldn't want to live in them. Like I joke, I call them like particle board palaces,
They are. It's all particle
you know,
board, and they all get
and you,
flooded when it rains and they're in the building and everything.
yeah, there's mold issues. There's like, I'm walking through some of them and it's wet. It's wintertime, so it's all icing up. So they're putting ice melt on top of the OSB
And
and it's
yeah,
just
and the fall of
rotting it
particle board.
away and it's falling apart. It's like, it's, yeah, I'm not crazy about it. I mean, some people, you can do it better ways,
Yeah.
but the funny thing is why they do that podium is um, they actually deem that a separate building. So the concrete building underneath, what they call around here, they'll call it a podium, but you build 1 or 2 stories concrete. You have a 3-hour separation, and they consider that a separate building on top of it.
Oh wow.
Therefore, you can have a higher building, but yet only have what would be considered like a 4-story wood building on top of that
Oh.
concrete. So maybe you couldn't build a 5-story or 6-story wood, but you can build a 4-story. So they stick it on top of a podium. And there's a really weird building code path to get to it. But
Loophole, so to speak.
yeah, yeah.
What's up from the night shift? Foreman Teague. What up? Working right now, huh? Damn, someone's got to do it.
Who's the guy
Night
from Long
shift.
Island you had on? Is that him?
No, no, that's Sal.
Yeah,
I
he was good.
don't know if Sal does Sal chat? I don't know if Sal's in the chat. Yeah,
Yeah,
I like Sal. I talk with Sal a lot. I talk with a lot of you guys a lot. I enjoy the conversation.
yeah. I like Tim. I also like the one where you guys just pulled up random tools.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that was with J Mac.
Man, I missed that one. I wanted to
Oh
do that one
yeah,
so bad.
we could do another one. I have some. I'll bring in a whole nother bag.
Well, I have my bag too. You know,
Oh yeah, like the inspector's bag. That's the thing. We got
and
to
we can
do the
go through.
inspector gadget bag. Yeah, I mean,
I got all kinds
send
of
us
things.
ideas. We'll do anything. You know,
I
really
can go
just
get my bag right now. We haven't done my bag.
go run and get it.
All
How
right,
far? How far?
I do pretty much everything with that
How
bag.
far
I'll
is
be right
it? You
back.
want to time it? Want us to time you?
Yeah, and it's funny. Like I'm not even, uh, you know,
Ready, set, go. Oh
yeah, it's funny.
shit.
I'm not in the trades. I'm not a sprinkler fitter, but I was sitting there. I'm like, oh shit! Like the level that you had that screwed into the fitting. I was like, that's genius, right?
Genius. Like, there's so many of us out there that are like, we could have fucking been millionaires from this, but we're just, let somebody else do it, bastards.
You want to laugh? You want to see how old I am?
Oh, jeez.
I got this on my shelf here.
Oh my goodness. I worked with a guy. Like, this is recently. This is like within 5 years.
He was
And
pulling out the plumb
and
bob.
Buddy had a plumb bob with a stick and fucking rope, and he had it in his pocket, and he's out there. This is an this is an old timer. I'm pretty sure he's retired now, but Buddy's
Yeah,
got it. His level was inch and a half, and he needed to have an inch and a half level, and he like fucking, he's holding it up there to try to measure the center of a head, and I'm like, I don't know, bud. I pull out my grid stick with the laser. I'm like, check this fucking thing out. He's like, yep, done. I don't know about your plumb bob. You need 3 arms to use a plumb bob, right? How you gonna hold it and measure it and
yeah. It's a challenge, but yeah, that was the way we were doing layout when I started. So
fucking
that's
plumb bob? It's
yeah,
crazy. I have one. I have one in the van in case I need it. I just never need it because I got a plumb laser and I got a line laser and I got a grid stick laser. That was pretty quick. I didn't really time you.
I'm out of breath. I ran.
All right. What do we got, Brian?
All right, let's do this.
All right, the inspector gadget bag. What do you got in
Yeah.
there?
So bring the light in here.
Oh wow! All
So
right.
it's just a 2 pouch. So I got my main compartment here, and then I have my small. This is my. So we do building reports. So it's an inspection program.
Build the
It's-
bunker. It's Dan
it
Creed.
goes
What
off
up,
of
Dan?
barcodes.
Oh, there he is.
So each item. So it could be like control valve, tamper,
Oh, okay. That's
drain, water flow.
I'm familiar with those. And you stick them on, then
Yeah.
you can scan them later.
Right. So that's our reporting system. I
Smart.
keep mainly yellow tags for my inspections. So yellow's non-compliant, and then green's compliant. I usually always find something.
Good to know.
I'm usually always running with,
If you
and
got
this is what I recommend for all companies: plastic tags, not paper tags. Plastic.
you got a red for shut it down?
Oh yeah. But I usually keep it in the truck.
That's like the one you keep in your sock, Bry, right?
Yeah, you familiar with this?
Oh, the hole punch? And you hole punch the plastic things? The plastic
Yeah,
tags?
industrial hole puncher.
Wow, you're kind of fucking, you're
Yeah.
like, I like it. This is different. You
This
can-
thing's heavy duty, man.
So you're
I
just
have 2
punching
different
holes. You don't need a
kinds.
marker. You don't need a pen. You just punch a hole in that little card. I think you're gonna have to waste one of them cards and give us a couple holes. Give us a couple hole. Fill one of them babies out. Let's see it. Come on.
So the thing is, you can't really see it. Like there's no holes. So
What? Yeah, I see it. I can already see the holes, I think. Does it not make a hole or it makes an indent?
yeah, it makes a hole.
Oh yeah. That's epic.
So what I'm saying is like you can't really see where you're punching. You just kind of have to envision where this is.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sure you
Let's
punched
see.
quite a few of those holes.
Yeah, this is where I keep my Sharpies, my pens. And then this is for when I'm gonna mainly disabling uh fire alarm panels. Like next or
You got that little screwdriver? You're the fire alarm guy, huh? See, we're not allowed to do that in Boston, Massachusetts.
yeah, we can. You're not a fire alarm guy, but these are all my keys.
So I got all those keys. I'm just not a fire alarm
Yeah,
guy.
so I go in there. It's just usually when they send me for inspections, there's no like second guy. That's it.
For everybody watching, don't turn off the fire alarm panel, by the way.
Yeah.
Leave that for Brian.
You got,
Yeah.
what do you got? Wire strippers?
Yeah.
Holy shit, you're an electrician?
No, but sometimes I work
I mean, that's an electrician's
or
tool
I
if I've
install
ever seen it in
or
my
if it's
life.
like
I've never seen that in a sprinkler guy's bag.
yeah, well if a water flow switch isn't working right or a tamper switch isn't working, and I need
I gotta
to
call in the
fix
local
it.
103, baby. IBEW.
And then also too, the big thing is so according to code, you keep the acceptance inspection tag, which is never there, and then the previous 2 years. So when there's like a riser with like a Christmas tree of tags, I just go in there and I use this to, take all the tags off.
I gotcha.
Try to make it look good.
The tag
like,
remover.
or if there's a seal.
You need a
cut the
pocket
seal.
protector for all those pens.
So I think they look cool,
He's an
so
you're an
anyway.
undercover Sparky. I think the same thing, Teague.
Oh, for my
Yeah,
pins.
a sprinkler fitter with a hole punch and a wire stripper. This is a new one.
Holy
my
shit, keep
gloves.
it going. What else? Oh, you got Maxi Flex? Are those the Maxi Flex,
Flex,
kid?
baby.
I seen them before you pulled
Yeah.
them out. I like those. Those
These
are
are
the best gloves.
best.
So, fun fact, I was wearing those gloves when I stuck my hand in the snowblower. So this is back in the drinking days, as you can imagine. The snowblower stuck. I went right down the chute. And no, those gloves saved these fingers from, I don't know, it's not falling off. True story.
Wow.
Maxi Flex. Those are the best gloves. And the trick to do with
Alright, so-
those is you put them in with your work clothes and you wash them.
I
And you
could do like
do that a couple times.
90%. I could do like 90% of everything with these 3 tools.
Damn, kid. Look at that.
Yeah. So I prefer this for control valves.
A steel?
And yeah.
Really?
So when I'm
Is that a 10?
Yeah, this is a 10.
Damn.
So I just put it on the wheel and I can crank on it.
I think you could get a 10 aluminum and be just as good. And you could save like
This is just what they are.
4 pounds.
A lot.
Huh?
How about you just not be a pussy, Bobby? Right?
No,
And
I
carry
like
steel.
aluminum, kid. Come on, new school. So those wrenches came out like in the 60s. So that thing's fucking older than you. I like to
Yeah,
use the
I
wrenches
love them,
that
man.
came
I
out
love this
like,
thing.
new school.
No, well, that's just what the company gave me. They handed me
I
this
know.
10, and
I'm just
that's what
fucking
I
with you.
use.
I would say, yeah, so I need an aluminum of every size, please.
But this is like my favorite. I love this thing. I use it so much for inspections.
Yeah, no, I'm talking my shit, but I have that same thing, just 8-inch. I carry my 8-inch around steel because they don't make an aluminum one of those. I bought an aluminum China 8-inch and it didn't last like a day. What'd you say?
So usually dry valves. So usually dry valves, I do not use an impact. Like today, I was doing 5 years on like 3 different buildings with lots of wet systems. So I was using an impact just because it's faster. But usually I'll put the wrench on a bolt and I'll just bang it and then it'll get loose. And that's how I operate all the bolts.
With
And
the
that's how I've been doing
adjustable,
it for a long
baby.
time.
Darian, what
So,
up?
and then when I take off the faceplate, this is like basically my chisel, my wedge.
All that modeling, now we see why. We think you're a undercover Sparky, Brian.
Sparky. Hey, baby.
Oh, tape. Oh, you gotta get a little can of dope in there.
Hey,
Yeah, a
by the
little tiny
way,
can of
the
soap.
name.
Huh? I need
By
a
the way,
push
the
pop.
name is perfect.
Dope and tape, you like it?
Dope and Tape is a great name. As soon as I heard it, that I'm like, that is fucking brilliant. Great marketing. I
Thank
was
you.
like,
Dude, we
Love
were
it.
coming up with names, and I was like, "What about dope and tape or something like that?" And then Bobby was like, "Yeah, dope and tape." I was like, "Okay, cool, let's run it." It was
Dope and
that
tape.
fast.
I'm like, it's only good though. Like if you, I'm like, do you do dope and tape? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, I do too, religiously. He's like, all
but
right. Well, I'm like, that's
I
it
was
then.
thought I thought you weren't supposed to do both. Thought you were supposed to do one or the
Nah,
other.
that's a myth that some guys just hold to themselves.
Okay.
Do
Now
do
Bobby does put dope on his sprinkler heads, and I don't.
they make so now you got to put the right dope. Definitely don't super dope them. You should never be super doping heads.
Okay, so
Um,
I only tape.
but I use super dope on all my 1-inch.
I need like since I got the tape, I need like a push pop, like a dope push pop. I
A
just
dope
load it up
push pop.
with dope, and I just like push a little bit out.
All right, stop talking about it. Someone's gonna invent it, and then that's our chance to not be. Like he was
Oh,
just
here's another some more gloves.
2 pairs of gloves in there. Oh, one pair gets wet. They're
Hey,
done.
Apparently,
it- you know what? You know what I liked that you had, Bobby,
What is
was
it?
that I've seen the stoppers with the sprinkler heads going off.
Yep.
I've seen them like the vice grip ones, but you had one that was like a little cock and gun.
Yeah, that's
I was like,
cool.
that's a great idea. You can build up the pressure, and then it's just like,
I wanna say I got that on a Walsh job.
there
I
you
think
go.
I got that on a Walsh job,
Dan's job. Got it
like
on Dan's
from
job.
yeah, because there was one job we did, and I'm on a hospital job, so sometimes you go on those jobs and there's like they have them hanging from the walls all over. I'm like, oh, this thing's cool. I need this. I'm gonna take this,
Hmm.
and I kept it. I never got to use it, but I'm waiting for the day. I think that now with the G5 concealed head, it wouldn't work because the deflector comes down like fucking way down from where you would have to seal.
Hmm.
But I'll let you know.
how many of these do you have?
Oh,
Oh, my
I don't
company,
do any work, and I've got 6 of them. So
my company buys them in red. We buy these specific red ones, and I have
These things are awesome.
I have a bunch of
they
them.
are awesome.
And then right here, uh, my
There
little
you go.
box cutter, safety blade, whatever you want to call it. I use this a lot actually.
Yep. So when I was doing the big job, I have one that actually has like a carabiner on the back, and I could clip the carabiner onto my belt loop, and then I have that thing just hanging there. That's the kind of screwdriver I got. I got like a, and then
Yeah,
I
and of
keep
course I
like the
have.
the orange one that you had that you just pulled out. That's the one I
Yeah.
hand to the apprentice, and then I have that one for me.
Oh, I got you. You have one of these
Yeah, I have. It's not that brand, but what
for
is
the
it?
flow switches?
Yeah. I like
You
that.
have the red one, huh?
I got the red one, yeah. You got
Yeah.
you
So
got the true Klein, right to
so
your
this is
core,
actually a
Sparky
newer
Brian.
design. This is actually a newer design. It was just that red one that did this for a while. Because like a couple of years ago, Klein just had it was just a plain extension, and then you had this like rubber piece that slips in. It was terrible.
Yeah,
I
Dan
bought it
says
and it was
Walsh has them.
terrible, but these are
Texas
great.
10?
I
Like
had to order mine
like dope and
like
chat and chapstick. I'm missing something here.
2 years ago.
Dope and
Saying you
chapstick.
I think that's it, man. That's what
Texas
I'm
10.
rolling with.
Non-Milwaukee is trash. You tell him, Teague.
So
Dan says
I want to know
people
a
are
couple of
always
things.
breaking heads.
So let me while you're doing all that GC work and you're watching all the trades and stuff, does pretty much everybody use Milwaukee stuff?
No, you see a mixed bag.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, you see a mixed bag.
So
Yep.
each trade, as far as I see in Boston, the trades are all using their like a carpenter always has DeWalt.
Well, I was about to say, well,
No
yep.
matter what. If they're doing sheetrock, if they're doing tape, if they're doing studs, any ceiling guy, any kind of carpentry, it's like 99% of them are using DeWalt. But then
Why
I
do you
see
think
all
that is?
I don't know because they
5-gallon
probably
bucket talk or something?
no, I think because DeWalt is it's geared towards a carpenter. They have a lot of better
Chop
carpenter
saws.
tools, you know, like they were the first ones with the sanding disc fucking vacuum I don't know what the fuck it's called, but they had it before Milwaukee had it. Whereas Milwaukee's got a lot more.
By the way, I hate this thing. I hate this
Yeah, you got to get
this whole
Occidental
this
leather. I just
bag.
don't know if you could fit all your electrical tools in there too.
Yeah. Like this bag sucks. It's just uncomfortable to wear.
It's big. And then you got that heavy ass wrench in there.
Yeah.
So I get a few questions
But
for
I
you
love
guys.
it though. I can't
All
keep it
right,
in the
let's hit it.
truck. I miss it.
What do you got?
So first of all, do you have dope and tape gear?
Not yet.
No, so we're
Hey,
talking about
Brian,
it. And
put the
we
camera
have
up,
an
Brian.
average of
Should I make it? Should we make him stay like that?
It's like the reverse of
He's just,
the guy that would look over the fence,
he's
right?
just,
But it's the opposite.
oh, that's great.
so,
Shit. Just see
so
your hands.
we have an average of what 15, 20 people watching typically. So we're not really sure how many to print and then also
It's tough because
sizes
it's
differ,
tough
and
because
we don't
we're
want to get
far
stuck.
away.
Yeah, so I'm in Atlanta, he's in Boston.
So I mean, I could very well like get a bunch of mediums and larges and extra larges and 2X's and whatever of a print and have them sent to my house, and then I could ship them out and shit. But then like he needs some or I need some, or we have to find a drop shipper. Maybe somebody could help us. I mean, we could just drop a regular logo, or we could do like a pre-sale.
Well,
Because
I'll say this.
you're not the first one to ask, Joe.
Yeah, I'll say this as someone who's been through this. Because people were asking, so I was like printing and then getting a batch done up, and then I had all these fucking boxes in my house, and I'm buying if it fits in ships bags and making late. It fucking sucks.
Yeah.
And like it was worth it if people wanted it. Like to me, that's worth it. But I went to Spreadshop, and now people can just buy them there. They pay, they get shipped. Because I wasn't even doing it for money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's how we are. Like I'm not in this for money. I like the community. I like I like having people like you on and
It's
talking.
so much fun for us,
Yeah.
A lot of guys
So-
don't know how a GC per se would think on the job, you know, and he automatically sees that the sprinkler guy only needs 2 people. There's
Yeah, and it's funny. There's something funny about it, right? Where you're
yeah.
like, I remember the first job I was on was 2 guys would drive up in like a Honda Civic from Rhode Island
Yeah.
and do the 40-story high rise.
Do the whole thing.
How can this be? I was like, where is the crew? Like, where's the crew? All right. But
Yeah, so what they want,
so-
we're looking for people are asking for hats, stickers, shirts, sweatshirts. We definitely want to do it.
Spreadshop will do it all. You upload your logo in there or whatever you want, and they'll put it on a hat. They'll do stickers. They'll do anything. They fulfill it. They ship it, and you'll even get make like $2 a shirt or something like that, or and maybe like $8 on a hoodie or whatever. And like I said, I'm not doing it for the money, but
So that's
just
something that I would be into because obviously you guys know we do a lot of work. Both of us are very busy, and then this, and then like you said with the packaging and the labeling. I mean, I'm set up for that, believe it or not. My wife used to sell clothes out of the basement, so like the label printer and the packing slips and all that, and I could probably bang it out, but it's just that's a whole
still
nother
work.
thing I got to
It's a lot
do.
of work. You know, we
Yeah.
still want a life too. Like
Yeah.
we were like pumping out tons of content. We were doing it Monday through Wednesday,
Yeah, that was
and
tough, the 3 days in a row.
it was tough. That was tough.
It's tough.
So we switched to Tuesday, Thursday, and I feel like I have my life back. You know, a little bit. Like I can go do things. You know.
Yeah. And it gives us time to like talk about the others. Like tomorrow we'll be able to talk about Thursday's show instead of just boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And then
But
you don't
Yeah,
see
and
us for
then
5 days.
there's no
keeps
reason why you guys
people
shouldn't be
interested.
taking this and putting it on an RSS feed for just an audio podcast. That's the bulk of my
Oh, so that's
my
another
list.
thing. I don't know how.
We don't know how to do
I
it.
haven't fucking figured it out. So
All
teach
right,
me.
listen.
Teach
Okay,
me.
I'm hoping to change your world here.
Okay.
Don't do the shipping, because the other thing is you end up getting stuck with one-offs of like, oh, I've got a
And
small and a double X and a medium of this one and a large of that one, and then somebody wants a large of the one that you only have it just sucks.
yeah.
So stay away from that. Use Spreadshop or whatever. I can send you the link.
Yeah,
Easy.
I'm writing it down now so I don't forget, but please send me the link if you remember.
Yep.
Spreadshop.
And yep, I will. And then I'll write it down. And then
Spreadshop.
Anchor.
Anchor. Okay, perfect. You said it. I'm on Anchor. We're on Anchor, right, Bry?
Yeah, we're on
I couldn't
Anchor.
figure out Anchor, so I switched to Sound. Is it Soundiz? Soundiz?
Anchor is so much easier. If
So I went to Anchor and I was able to get our first 3 episodes, episode 1, 2, and 3. I fucking clicked them. I dragged them. It was the easiest thing I ever did in my life.
Yep.
Episode 4 to 30, they won't go. Can't do it. Says something's wrong. Did try it a million times.
and
I,
because Anchor, once
And
you
then I would go.
I'm
I'll try
I'm
it
gonna
too, and
give
I
you the
wouldn't get it.
password. I think it's Soundiz. It's Soundiz.
yeah, you go to I'm happy to look at it with you at some point,
Yeah, that'd
because
be awesome.
I'm an idiot when it comes to technology, and I can do
Yeah,
it. If
me
I
too.
can do it,
So
you
and
know,
we're
Just bought
that
my
close.
first
Like we
computer.
have. Oh, so the other thing about Spotify is that the Spotify wants to know who my manager is every time I go in there, and then when I say that I'm the manager, it wants me to tell them who my label is.
yeah, no. You do Anchor, you upload it there, they send it to iTunes, Stitcher, Breaker, Spotify.
That's what we want to
Spotify
do.
now. Yeah, I'm on like 12 different platforms, and all I gotta do is upload it to Anchor, and boom, it sends it everywhere. And then I'll get this shit from like Apple about, oh, you have to update this and that, but Anchor does it all, and it's free.
Wow.
It's like,
No, I know we're on Anchor.
can't go
We
wrong.
have an Anchor account. All the things are uploaded
Yeah,
there.
please help us because being on YouTube does limit us because I mean no one's gonna like stream a YouTube video on their on their way to work or
The
something like
people who
that.
are streaming us on YouTube the most are people who have YouTube Plus, because you can shut your phone off and put it back in your pocket or whatever.
So let me ask you this because
Episodes.
so when we're listening back on these shows, we're like looking at it from like a technical aspect. Like we could probably do better here and then here, we're trying to like tweak it and stuff. But you've been listening to a couple of episodes or at least watching, like
Yep.
do you feel like it's enjoyable? You having fun with it? You think it would be good on audio? Would you recommend us changing it up a little bit?
Yeah, and now I mean this would get to the point where you have to decide how much effort you want. Like there could be a thing where sometimes it's you guys just have slow periods. And if you were willing to do some editing, you could cut down that podcast to like, take the 3 chunks of really good conversation that happened,
And yeah, condense it down.
condense it down and send it out. Like, and I think people would like that. I mean, there's 2 schools of thought. I have some people that are like, no, we just want raw audio and hear people shit talking and whatever. And that's fine. But I think then there's other people that just they don't have the patience for it.
So I
But
went on YouTube and I watched multiple videos on editing and which editing software to buy, and it seems pretty straightforward if you want to buy like a $200 to $500 program to edit. Um, and then it's just a matter of just doing it and making shorts or whatever. It's a very good idea. But
yeah, and it just
is it free software you're editing with?
I used GarageBand for 3 years, which was free on my Mac. And there's some other free ones out there, but like I I bought, what am I on now? I'm on crap. I forget what I'm on. Doesn't matter. But so I have a paid one now. And it wasn't crazy money. And I don't do anything nuts. You know, I fade in a sound in the song in the beginning.
Well, that's something that we would like to try to do, but
Yeah,
would
that'd be cool.
would I be able to do that live is the thing, because we like the aspect of the show being live. So
Well, no, here's the thing. You just take the live, right? And you can download the video. Can you download the video onto your desktop?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then what you do is you just grab the video, you drag it into whatever editing software you have, and it'll usually say, do you want to extract the audio? Say yes. All the audio from that just goes right to the editing software. And then you can add in music. You can do an intro and say, you know, hey, today we talked with Brian Williams. We talked about how he started off as a fitter and then ended up doing inspection and testing, blah, 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 blah.
And how he's
Here
secretly
it
an
is.
electrician disguised as a sprinkler fitter, and he's
Yeah,
infiltrated.
yeah, professional hole puncher
Right.
and sprinkler fitter. Yeah.
I'd never seen that hole punch thing. It's a
Dude,
great
that thing's
idea.
old school. Heavy duty. I got several of them.
Yeah. But then you'll get the guys listening in their cars when they're driving to work or on the way home. Like
That's it.
the reach I get on a podcast compared to when I put something up on YouTube, not even close. Not
Right.
even close.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's why we pumped out so much content so quick in the beginning. I mean, we're still in the beginning. What was it? Where are we on? 27, 28?
28. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
So
quantity. Now we're going to transfer to quality and
right, right. So that way, when we do on the audio aspect of it, then people can like binge listen in a way.
Yeah.
I'll get back on Anchor and poke around and see what I can do, and then I'm gonna want to talk. What you
And
talk
when
about?
we started this, like it was, hey, I was talking to Bobby. I think we talked like 2 days. And you're like, you want to do this? I was like, I want to do this. Let's do it.
What was
Like,
the
all right,
editing thing you
boom.
got?
Let's
Garage?
GarageBand is what comes
GarageBand,
automatically
but it's on Mac.
on a
Oh,
Mac.
all right.
Um,
So that's the
I
one
have
for
a
you,
Mac,
Brian.
so yeah.
yeah, and that's free. It's free on the Mac. It's if you watch a YouTube video, you figure it out. To me, it wasn't it wasn't very intuitive. It took a minute because I guess they make it to like simulate like for music mixers and stuff like that. So
Mm,
they make it look like that, but I wasn't familiar with that. So I was like, what the fuck are all these buttons and everything?
yeah.
But once you figure it out, and you're not going to do anything fancy. I do nothing
No.
fancy, you know.
Well, the other thing is I could just take this out of a Zoom format, and I could just grab your face
Make it
and
more
grab his
enjoyable to
face
listen
and
to in the car.
in the car. Well, yeah, if we were that's just so that's Anchor. That's just getting on Anchor and doing a couple clicks. We already got all the episodes are in there. They're automatically going to Anchor. It's just a matter of getting them from Anchor to all the other platforms, like you said. So
That's where we're stuck.
our episode 1, 2, and 3 is on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Play, all that stuff. We're on there. I just can't. I
But the
couldn't
other
get the other
ones,
ones on
they
there,
won't load.
and I also haven't tried in a long time.
Yeah. No, like I said, I'm not just saying it because we're here. Like call me. Well, I'll look at it with you. And it's, like I said, I'm so dumb when it comes to this stuff. And that's the easiest thing that I do is I upload the MP3 file to Anchor. I type in some notes, put a title on it,
That's
hit
good to know.
upload, and it's everywhere.
So, all right, I got a question from your GC experience. Did you ever deal with any good floods?
Yes.
Was it the sprinkler guy?
regularly.
Oh,
Uh,
regularly?
yeah, you know what's
What?
funny? You know what's funny? Like how your like world changes. Like the first time there's a flood,
Whew, it's
you
big.
like freak out
Yeah.
and you're like, holy shit, you know what I mean? And you're like, there's like you're seeing all this water going, and then after it happens enough time, you're like, oh yeah, yep, we're gonna fucking go find the valve,
Don't
shut it
panic.
off.
Don't panic.
Yep, we're gonna broom it down the stairs. We're gonna vac it, cut out 18 inches of sheetrock, put it back together, and let's go. Um, but that one building that I was on, that 40 something story high rise, had uh, all the Vic fittings were failing on the
Oh,
hot water risers for the heating
Whoa.
system, and they couldn't figure it out. They were thinking, was it the pH in the water, whatever, the gaskets would start deteriorating, and they were like leaking all over the place. So, and they were like, these were like high end condos.
oh
So like
shit.
we were going into these people's houses, they were making like custom condos, and we were going in, I had two carpenters and two fitters, no, a carpenter, a laborer, and two fitters. We go in there with sawzalls, cut. We had to go through the entire building and replace every Vic fitting. But the amount of leaks
How
that
the fuck do you get the rubber on there? Oh my god.
yeah, it was it was a mess.
Must have been
Uh,
009 fittings. I don't think there
The
was
double and
double O
nine
nines.
fittings is Bobby's
they
favorite.
they never figured it out either. We
Yeah.
ended up going with a like they have some gasket that was for like Antarctica. It was meant to go to like negative 100 or like the
I
Sahara
have
Desert.
I have
And
speculation of what happened. They probably were putting the wrong grease on their gaskets.
Hmm.
I mean,
That first trip through, I bet you they greased it with some shit they shouldn't have greased it with.
Some Crisco.
And then that's why they never found what happened because they would have taken the blame.
yeah, and I mean they were looking at when they were I forget the right word for like joining the pipe, like putting the groove in the pipe.
Yep.
They were like, is there a problem with the groove? Is that cutting into the gasket? Like, I mean, we looked at everything,
Man,
but
that
yeah,
sounds
and
like a
then
nightmare.
obviously you get the sprinkler head that gets bumped, and man, the first time you see that, it, holy shit, the amount of water that comes out of one sprinkler head, it
Oh yeah.
looks like a waterfall coming down the stairs.
Oh, so
Like,
Now
much
they
how
hooked
water,
could
up
it
man.
be?
to pumps at that time or no?
That was a job with the pump. Yeah.
Oh, that baby's putting out, man.
Yeah, I remember
Wow.
walking up the stairs and like it legit looked like a waterfall, just water flowing down the stairs. I got the call on the two-way radio that like the building was called Head Block. It was like a small building attached to the other one, and they're like, "There's a head out on 4 in the Head Block." So I was like headed up to go up the stairs, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
Then you just run through the water. Oh, I get so
Yeah,
excited for
Wow.
that.
yep, yeah. I
I've
can't.
seen those. I've been in situations where I just like turn the corner, open a stairwell to see water coming down, like it's like the water coming out of the house in Jumanji. Like
Yeah, and then we had I think it was laborers. We had guys on the job going, clogging up the sinks and letting them run.
really.
Yeah. So, but the problem was it was such a big building. Like
Oh, that's fucked up.
you could go get lost in there. Like you could be on a floor and you wouldn't see anybody for, hours. So you go in. I forget how they would, but yeah, because the water would just be running. They would take it. It was one of the ones where you could pull the hose out, throw it out on the floor, turn on the water, walk away.
Oh man.
I remember that because we had herringbone wood floor. It would all start popping. It would look like waves, and they would just, and yeah, it was,
That's awful.
yeah. So I have more water damage than I ever want to
Oh,
see
so
again.
yeah, so the GCs get to see it all. I'm trying to look up how many
Water's
gallons
the
per
water's
minute
the
can come.
worst
How many
for
gallons per
sure.
minute can come out of a 5.6? Typically, it's a 5.6 K factor on the majority of these heads. I wonder. Google says 22 gallons a minute. I feel like that's low. I feel like it has to do with the pressure too.
Yeah, I don't know what was the worst, Brian. And then there was roofs, and we put temp roofs because as you go up, you need to start finishing like the third floor and you're not even topped off yet. So you're installing like temporary roofs. But
Yeah.
inevitably someone goes and sticks a pipe through the roof or whatever, and they forget to tell you, so you don't go patch it back in after, and then it rains, and I mean, you're just flooded. Those were some of the bad ones. You got a bad rainstorm, and it was just
Oh, it just
nasty.
goes through them high rises, man. When they're like,
Yeah,
when they're
Yeah.
in that particular point where you got to do like temp roofs or whatever, and it's just like raining sideways.
yeah. My favorite story about that Vic
So how
fitting.
do y'all manage? Yeah.
Go ahead, Brian.
No, hit us with the famous
Well,
story.
yeah. What's
Yeah.
his favorite story?
Yeah. So there was this when we were replacing all that fittings, there was it was obviously the end of the job. We're like still probably doing some punch list because it's a big building, but it's me, two pipe fitters, a laborer and a carpenter. We go in, carpenter cuts the wall, pipe fitters do the work, laborer vacuums everything up and patches it. So there was this one, because this was like a very wealthy building, and there was one family that bought 4 condos, made them into, took 3 of them, made them into one giant for them. And then there was an extra condo that was for their, like, I would want to say butler, right? Or maid. It was a guy who just like took care of stuff for them.
Wow.
So he had his own condo. I mean, this was a while ago, and it was a $1.5 million condo back then, early 2000s. So it's probably, in today's terms, he's probably in a $4 million condo of his own. Was driving like a Range Rover or a Land Rover, because you'd see him like pull into the parking garage and stuff like that.
Right.
And these people, we would call and we'd say like, all right, listen, we got a schedule to come in. They would schedule and then they would cancel and then be like, and they wouldn't get back to us. And I'm like, listen, we got to replace this thing. So after like maybe 2 months of trying to do this and being canceled, and we gear up, and then they call like, oh yeah, you can't come today, you can't come today, you can't come today. So we show up there, fitter's got a shopping cart with all the stuff in it. Guy answers the door, and the woman that owned the bigger one, her husband, like she liked to drink a little bit. So I think that contributed to it. And it was like this thing where like some of them were like super cool people in there, but then other people were just like fit the stereotype of just rich people that kind of look down on you. And that's what this group of people happen to be. So you show up, knock on the door. The butler answers the door. Now this thing is going to be so outdated for you guys, but there was this old show called Benson, which was this old sitcom from like the 80s. And it was this butler for this rich family, right? So this guy answers the door and he like opens it. He's like, oh, he's like, today's not going to work, right? He's like, Mrs. So-and-so isn't feeling well. So Mikey the pipe fitter goes, listen, Benson, right? He goes, I'm tired of you doing this. He goes, you're just mad because you got to fold her underwear all day. And I'm like, oh, Jesus. I was like, Mikey, I was like, goodbye. See you later. We'll come back. I'm like, oh, I'm going to get fucking killed when I go down. The phone calls I got from like the building owner, and they're like, what did you say to so-and-so in like 26G or whatever? And I'm just like, oh my God. And whenever he said he's just mad because you got to fold her underwear all day long, because you would legitimately go in there and you see him folding the laundry, right? And she'd have her little panties and you'd be folding them. And I was just like,
Oh my goodness.
But what was nuts was I'm like, dude, I'm like, you're a butler. But he would look down on us, right?
Yeah, right.
I'm like, you're folding these people's laundry and we're lesser than you? Like,
Bastard.
And, but yeah, so that was my favorite story for replacing the Vic fittings.
Oh man.
I was doing inspections in like a super high end condo. When I had my apprentice on, a couple of stories with them, but I walked into one condo, man. I mean, they gutted it and redid it, and it just looked beautiful. Tons of art, and I mean, it was amazing. The whole wall just showed the skyline of Atlanta. Beautiful. But I walk in,
Mm.
we had a key, no one answered. And I hear a lady yelling. I guess it's his wife yelling at her husband, like just chewing him out. I'm like, geez. And and I had to look this up because I didn't even know what it was. But she's like, Tommy, you didn't even get me the right Timmy Choos. My friend got the new Timmy Choos, and you got me last year's Timmy Choos. You're
Those are
nothing
some
but a piece of
expensive
shit. Just
shoes.
I was like, what? Yeah, just chewing him out for buying the last year's shoes. You probably got him like 5% off,
Yeah.
It's still
And
probably 10
she was
G's.
like, "Fuck
Yeah. Ugh.
you," and I was like, "Man, this is what this life is at the top." Gee,
Got me the
Yeah.
wrong shoes, MFer.
Yeah. It's a
so I
wild world,
pass,
man.
but man,
But so now back to your show though. So like I'm like it's funny. There's a niche there. Like even with me, right? So I'm probably more geared towards the supers, PMs, real estate guys. There's a fair amount of guys that are in the trades too that listen. Um, commercial construction world. Um, but like I got into it because it was content that I wanted and nobody was doing it.
That's what I'm saying. That's what
And
Brian and I were talking about. Like, who are
I
the?
think you're in the same boat.
There's a couple other out there, but they're not. I mean, I don't know. There's
and there's
nothing.
also no community
Dope and
for
tape only. Yeah,
sprinkler
this is a
fitters either,
community.
or fire protection in general. There's no like connective community.
So another little silent killer that
That's
we
the
have
big
is
thing. What
the
we're doing, we're not here for money.
Discord. We got this Discord,
Yep.
and there's a few people on there that are always chatting, but that thing is man, if I had that when I was an apprentice, I don't even know. If I had any of this when I was an apprentice,
Dude, I'll
just
be
a
asking so many
just a
questions.
little bit more insight than what I had at the time, which I mean, I had a lot, My father taught me everything. I had a very good, uh, you know, as an apprentice, I think I had a very good than most, but I had
Yeah.
nowhere to go for any other type of advice or questions or code
Yeah,
related stuff.
we spun up a Discord and it came out hot and there was a ton of engagement. But then at least what I found is um everybody wanted to listen
Mm.
game, but nobody wanted to share. I
Oh,
think they were
okay.
worried about like competitiveness.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, I don't want to tell somebody how I'm doing this because whatever. I think the trades would be a little different because like you're not taking their job if they learn how to thread better, right? Like,
Yeah, no, I want to
Right.
teach the tricks. I want to
yeah,
teach the tricks. And
yeah.
even
So
if I teach the tricks, it doesn't necessarily mean that that person's going to be better at the trick.
yeah. So
Takes
that's
time.
what I found. If I wasn't, there was a few people that were good about putting stuff out, and I was putting stuff out, and everybody was all about it. But they were everybody because you can see when they're in there. People were in there looking, but no one was ever sharing. I was like, listen, this only works if you guys share information, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
And so our Discord,
Hunters do that.
they
Hunters will like watch videos and watch live streams and listen to content, but they won't share like what they do.
hunters,
Yeah,
yeah,
hunters are big on that.
they don't want to give away
Or
their
like for
secrets or where
example,
they're going.
he's a ice fisherman. Like
yeah, they
Yeah.
don't want to say where's the good spots. They don't want to, right? They want it
Bro,
from the start.
I'll
nothing,
drop a pin
never.
where I'm catching trout and I'll drop a pin. Come on out. I dare you. There's no
Yeah,
ice. I'm avid ice fisherman. There's no ice right now.
yeah,
It's awful because I would have been out there.
yeah. No, I think you. So go back. I think you guys are in a good little niche. The other thing that, at least what I found was, there's a lot of people doing residential content, like even back to like magazines like Fine Home Building and HGTV and This Old House, and there's plenty of stuff in that the Modern Craftsman guys, like there's lots for like one and two family carpenters and tradespeople, but commercial construction, that's why I got into it. It was like nobody was doing anything.
Yeah, like if you've a lot of the plumbing pages, a lot of the chick electrician pages, they're very popular pages. They're all in houses for the most part, is
Yeah,
what I see.
Yep, all 1 and 2 family. Nobody doing commercial construction.
Show me a
currently.
crane. I
Yeah,
want to see a crane, an exterior hoist. Yeah, I mean,
yeah. So I think there's like a need to be filled, and like it's it's done wonders for me. I mean, but in fairness though, like I spend a day and a half a week on the podcast.
oh, okay.
Wow.
It's a lot. It's a
A
lot.
day and a
It is.
half, huh? So how many hours are you doing a day?
Like you're working more than me, but I've luckily just because I see you on Instagram, but
Yeah.
uh, like I'm just really dialed in on, like I said, I would have been in bed at 9. I would have been sleeping at 9, right? So I'm like dialed in on the sleep, in the food. So I'm really efficient.
I gotcha.
I'm working between 8 to 10 hours a day, but my office is out of my house, so I don't have the commute in the morning. I don't have the commute in the afternoon. So
Yeah.
I can really focus in. But if you look at it, you say like, okay, scheduling a guest, going back and forth, getting the time.
Yeah.
I come do it live in my office. So they come here, right? So I'm prepping ahead of time. I have to do all the research on the person to find out like the right questions to ask them and everything. And they come, you're talking beforehand, you're recording for an hour or 2 hours, you're talking after. So that's 4 hours right there just to record an episode.
Right. And
You
then you gotta
edit.
edit it.
Yep. And then I'm clipping a video because we talked about this already. You should be on LinkedIn and
Brian
you
keeps
know,
telling me that too.
posting it to LinkedIn. Like I have a decent little following on Instagram, but like it's all happening on LinkedIn for me. And
That's
We have
new.
a
That's so
dope
new for me
intake
to hear about LinkedIn. I'm not on LinkedIn.
show LinkedIn page.
yep.
Find me on Instagram.
I mean, you saw mine, so
Yeah, I just tried to connect with you right beforehand. I don't know if you saw it, but
LinkedIn.
yeah, I
I
did.
probably might pop onto LinkedIn.
I'm gonna
yep.
decline it.
But then, you cut a little 5-minute clip to post on social. You upload it to Anchor. You do a little bit of editing. You do the show notes. Upload it on YouTube. Like
8 hours.
it's a lot of time.
Yeah,
It's a
man.
lot of time. But it's worth it.
Right. So that's another going back to talking about our show is that this right here is particularly easy because we're on a Zoom. I'm just live streaming the Zoom. There's really
Mhm.
no editing and that we're not cutting anything out. I mean, if you say something, it's going on there and it's staying on there. But there definitely is work that could be done if we had a little bit more time, or
Yeah.
if we were to start selling shirts and stuff and maybe have a little revenue, then we can maybe s- um, sub out the editing.
Yeah. With Anchor, like I have a few, it's not a lot of people, but I've got a handful of people that um, there's a donate option within Anchor.
Okay.
I have people that donate 5, $10 a month
Oh, that's
just
cool.
to, just because they're in like it was funny, like as a business owner, like mm, I was more happy about the first person that gave me $5 a month to do the podcast than I was about landing a fucking $20,000 job.
Right?
Right.
It's just like
That's cool.
it felt so much better to be like, all right, that person likes this enough that he wants to give me money
$5.
just to hear this thing that I
That's
like to
it.
do. You
It's
know,
crazy. Yeah, man.
so worth it. And like, it's not gonna change your lifestyle, but if you get a few $100 from shirts and maybe someone throwing you a couple bucks on Anchor or whatever, and use that to buy a new piece of equipment, or even you guys go to dinner or something like that. Like,
Well, that's what we've been talking about too,
Well,
linking up.
eventually we meet. No.
Yeah, we got to meet in
Yeah.
person. He wants me to go to Atlanta. I don't know.
And
I
then
don't
we can
know
do
if I
like
want to
a
go
meet
get
and greet
shot.
in Boston or something.
I don't know if I want to go to Atlanta and get shot.
Well, it'd be a lot for you to
I
take your
saw that.
kids and everything too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I did a cigar meetup last year,
Okay.
and then again this year, and it was just everybody that listened. Not everybody, but like because we had to be people that liked cigars and whatever.
Right.
But like it was just great to be in a room full of people
Yeah.
that
I would
like
love that.
all like had similar interests, like wanted to be better. And I think you'll find that people that listen are people that just want to be better at what they do. right? And that's why they're listening. Yeah, they want to be entertained, but at the same time, they want to see, oh shit, look at that fucking level he has, or that laser. I didn't know there was a laser on a pen that you
I
could
didn't know
do
you're
it.
supposed to hole
Or
punch
that,
plastic tickets for the
yeah,
inspections. That seems genius. All the tickets I see
Yeah.
are paper,
yeah.
No.
you
It's
know?
like,
Plastic all the way. Tell them to spend a little bit more money.
I'm gonna.
yeah,
This
and there
is
might be there's a fitter that wants to learn, like they know about install, but they don't know about testing, or they don't know about fire pumps or whatever. So you get around people that want to be better, they like to be entertained, and like that just makes you better. And like that's the best thing about mass construction is like this whole like community of people now that either send me information or like are appreciative things, and like I send them when they reach out, and now I can almost get to anybody
yeah,
in business
it's a
around here.
great community now. I mean, I was really just only connected to the sprinkler fitters around me, and now I know a lot of sprinkler fitters all around and all construction people, and it's great. It's a great community. We say it a lot over and over, the community, but it's awesome. I'm
That's
pretty
kind of how we kind of got connected. Um,
Yeah, how did you
me,
guys?
Big Kev, I think it was Big Kev,
just like
and
Instagram. I don't
then
know. I've been
how
posting
we
on
got
Instagram
connected.
for a long time, waiting for you guys to find me.
I just cold called for an issue.
Oh
I had
yeah,
a
he
fire
cold
pump
called me.
question.
That's it. That's how we met. All of a sudden, it said Instagram was calling. I'm
I
like,
just
oh
like on
shit.
Instagram, boom, called him. He's like, yes.
Yeah.
What's up?
You can call through. I've seen business pages where you can call through
No, so
Instagram.
right in the DMs, at the top of the DM, there's a little phone, and you can just literally call the
Weird.
person's
Yeah,
phone number.
call.
Holy shit! I
He
never
just
knew
he
that.
just cold calls me. That's why I tell people, call me. I'll answer. Because I answered for Bry. I'm like, oh, what is this? He's like,
We talked for like
he's
15
like,
minutes and
he's like,
like
I'm losing pressure.
troubleshooting.
Uh, I need you to help me troubleshoot. I'm like, all right, well,
I
fucking
have all
explain
the
it.
valves shut. I'm
Explain it to me. I'm like, I was on the road. It was
losing
exciting.
pressure. This was reading this is reading that. Yeah.
Huh?
That's it,
That's
man. And
wild.
I like
That's how we got connected.
I answer all my DMs. Sometimes it might take me a bit because the DMs are being more and more, but I like to answer them all. And I like to talk to everybody. Everyone's got a different story. And if you want to come on the show, I do have the calendar out right now. I was gonna see who wanted to come on next, but just DM me after. We're already over an hour at this point. This has been great, Joe. We appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed this, and I know I floated it to you, but I would love to try and do some video content with you, like that's educational.
Yeah, okay, I'm down with that because we're
You know,
look.
I did a video where fire department was going out and hooking up to the pressurized dry standpipe just because they weren't used to it. Like, what do you do? How do you drain all the air out of it? How do you hook up and all that kind of stuff? So
Oh
like,
man, I'd be down for that. I would do that on my own time.
yeah, and like people love it because a lot of people, even if you're a super, like you don't know, like, all right, that's a fire department connection. What does it do? Like, what's a pump truck? What's it like? It just seems like simple stuff to you. You guys will be like, what do you mean? You know, but to the average person, they don't
Right.
know what that is. And
Firemen aren't necessarily learning about sprinklers. It's very vague. They get taught a lot of other things. And then the
yep,
They
sprinkler
get
stuff,
scared.
they gotta, yeah. I mean, I have cousins and basically all the other men in my family, if they didn't become sprinkler fitters, they became firemen. And so I'm trying to get into the local fire department, actually where Dan is, and yeah, I'd like to talk to them and give them a little bit of insight. Whatever I can give that will help. My
yeah,
pleasure.
and I mean, half of them. Sorry, and I know it's late, but
No, we're
you know,
good.
half of my business is education. So a lot of times I'm using that video as part of education. So like if you had, you know, some fire pump content, I use that, and I at the same time just be like, hey, this is guy Blue Collar Bobby. He does all this,
Yeah, no, dude, I
and
love
then
that.
use open
I
pipe, and
We're
you know,
all about sharing the content, sharing each other. If you got something cool and you want to tag me, I'll always share it, and just,
yeah,
that's part of the community is growing. Everybody share it and tag each other, and
yeah,
that's
and
big. The tag is
It's
big.
fun.
yeah, and I just like I think it would be great to bring in other voices,
Yeah,
and
no, I'm with that. Let's talk about that more.
yeah, awesome.
I agree.
And we'll get you on the show again. Let's do another 10 episodes or something and we'll get you back and maybe we can dive into like something strictly.
Yeah, well, yeah, let's plan something because this was just fucking.
This was
We
we've been
rolled the ball out
that's
and
it.
started playing. That was it.
We switched to
And the
Tuesdays and
cool thing
Thursdays. I
about
got
me
the
and Bobby too is we come from two different sides of the fire sprinkler. And so I could talk about codes and inspections as well as sales and office stuff, and then
And
Bobby
that's
can talk about
yeah, that's stuff
construction.
that I know nothing about. I mean, I know I could go do an inspection if I had to, but it's just not like it's not
It's
where
not
I
your wheelhouse.
specialize.
Yeah. Oh, we should have talked Station Nightclub too. I saw your post on that,
Yeah, that was bad.
but
There's
yeah, maybe
there's
that.
videos out there if anybody is if anyone's got the stomach for it. It's
Yeah.
tough to watch. That was a
Yeah.
big turning point in our industry to really ramp up the fire protection. It literally changed overnight because of that.
Yeah. When I was a building inspector, I remember they brought us in and let us watch that. The footage, the stuff that wouldn't go on the news. It was the legit.
You got to dig for it, and I'm like that type of person. There's because
Yeah.
it was live. There was a live camera crew there, and you could literally see it happen and go on fire, and the guy just backs out, and
Yeah.
you
It
could
was.
watch the whole thing live. It's horrific, and you can see the door get jammed, and the people are in the door screaming, and they can't get out. They're all just
Yeah.
because everyone behind you is just pushing and
It's the
That
right
was
word.
terrible.
Horrific. Horrific is the right word. I
horrific.
mean, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. They were stacked up like firewood in the door frame. It was so
People were
sad.
trying to pull them out. You couldn't get them out.
Uh,
Eventually, they broke a window, but even then, it was
it's too late. Yeah.
bad.
Huh. Way to end on a happy note.
Way to end on a happy note. Yeah.
Thank you so much
Um,
for coming on.
yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. This was great.
And everyone that's
Yeah.
watching, if you're live or if you're watching the replay, if you enjoyed this, if you could smash that subscribe button, really appreciate it. If you're not following Joe yet, go follow him on Mass Construction. You can listen to his show as well on all those platforms that we were naming off before, or just find him right on Instagram.
Awesome.
And
All right.
it's been great, guys.
Yeah.
Everybody have a great